Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Counterstream. We are back and we're really excited to be here. We're switching up the format of the show a little bit. We will be talking about one topic in depth and, hopefully having really fruitful conversations and analyzing different aspects of society and politics, which are relevant and are not covered by mainstream news media. And I'm here today with my co-host, Julijana Zita, and would just give the floor to her.
Hi everyone. So I'm also very excited to be back. We took a longer break, but also to work a bit on the format. And I'm very exciting to, talk today about this one topic. And I find the topic also very interesting. And it was just introduced to me by Kinza, which is Femmosphere. And I'm very excited to look into that.
Yeah, right. So let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about the Femmosphere, which is a mirror image of the online communities that spread hatred against gender lines, across gender lines. Yeah. You might have already heard of the manosphere, the incels, toxic masculinity, Andrew Tate, like these kinds of figures who are problematic and are spreading narratives which are very dangerous and very harmful for women's rights. But at the same time, we also have like female influencers and women who claim to be feminist and are spreading content which is backtracking feminism decades. And the show today focuses on this particular community of female influencers. And we will basically talk about like the different kinds of the femcells that exist within this femisphere, because it's not just one whole group that is ideologically united. It's a whole spectrum, right? There's like traditional wives, Tradwives, which are conservative Christian influencers who live on a farm and, romanticize going back to the idea of a traditional housewife. Then we have stay-at-home girlfriends who are more liberal, who don't do any of the traditional housewife chores, but at the same time choose to stay at home and want to be provided for by the men in their lives. And on the very end, we have like women who seem to be progressive. They have analyzed inequality that women face in a systemic way. They do understand patriarchy. They understand how women have suffered under these systems. But the conclusions that they come to are very problematic, and their solution is basically to exploit men and gain financial resources from them.
It's there's a lot to cover, right? But I think that all of these different kind of femcell, you know, yeah, branches have kind of the same root
Yeah.
causes. So I think it will be very interesting to get into that. And I'm looking forward to see how many people and I would be curious to read some comments about that. We're familiar with this topic actually. And I think everyone is familiar with Andrew Tate and all this whole bubble that he created. Also thinking of that particular series that came out, I think last year, Adolescence, where
Yeah.
society widely talked about online communities influencing male teenagers and leading to very problematic mental issues that these teenagers develop through these communities. But I don't think, to be honest, that people are aware that the same equivalent exists for females as well. So it's a very interesting topic to explore and to point society to, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so just some of the traits that exist in femcells and like in the femosphere are that there's an understanding that women, or there's a perception that men and women are inherently different. Men are the providers, women are the nurturers, and we should basically tap into those traits of ours to be better fulfilled in lives. And this is like one of the first claims, right? And the second claim is that women deserve to be provided for. Women deserve, women do so much stuff like care work and so forth and so on. So the men should actually take the role of the financial providers, and women get to choose how they live their lives. Then we have also women who are influencing people to climbing up the social ladder by dating men who can provide for them. These women are not in love with they're not in love with the idea of men. The common factor that unites these women is the hatred against men as a group, right? Like not individual men, but how men have been exploiting women, how men have been, just sleeping with women without any commitment, and how men have been treating women. So, the grievances that they come from, they are indeed, like to a certain extent, understandable. But the solutions are completely not understandable for us. Yeah.
Maybe let's get to the first example of this
Yeah.
so people get a visual idea of what we're talking about.
Absolutely. So I will just be playing at first a clip of what is a Tradwife. This is the most conservative femcell circle. Yeah, enjoy.
Look, being a tradwife isn't just about wearing sundresses and making sourdough all day. Being a tradwife has become kind of a caricature, so here's what it really means. Firstly, it means putting God, your husband, and your children in the center of your life, in that order. Secondly, it means respecting your husband's name in public. Just because other women are gossiping and airing out their dirty laundry doesn't mean you should be. Thirdly, trust your husband's judgment. It's your job as a wife to let him lead your family in the right direction. Even if you disagree or are skeptical about something, you married him at the end of the day, so you trusted him for something. Fourthly, and this is the most obvious one, take care of the home. If your husband gave you the privilege of being a stay-at-home mother, you need to make sure that the home is running like a well-oiled machine. And of course, that means that his clothes is ready, food is on the table, and not a speck of dust in sight. Make sure your kids are taken care of, and, the other stuff. And keep in mind that the lifestyle is not for everybody. Some people just don't have what it takes to do it. And that's okay. If you're a guy and this landed on your For You page...
All right.
And the other stuff,
Yeah, exactly.
you know. Yeah.
Right. So that was the Tradwife. This is the most conservative and extreme form of femcell content that is being pushed by algorithms online. Yeah, we do want to say that we understand the idea of why women choose to stay at home, right? Like, it's not just, as leftists and socialists, it's not just about like, yeah, busting your ass at work and then being overburdened by childcare duties that are still not compensated for and are all invisible labor. But at the same time, the way this idea is being romanticized and being packaged and promoted, that this is what brings women fulfillment, this is where the problem lies.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, a lot of what she's doing there is what I'm doing at home, right? So, to speak from personal experience here, as a married woman with 3 children, yes, you have to take care of your kids and the family and so on. But I think, per se, to say the roles are naturally just the woman stays at home and the husband goes to work, that is a concept that might work for some people, but it doesn't have to necessarily work for all people. So you can have the husband staying at home and the wife going to work as well. Like, that is kind of the equality, feminism, modern
Yeah.
feminism approach to kind of the freedom of individuals to choose, or
Yeah.
as a partners to choose how you want to divide the work. That's the first thing, right? So this
Yeah.
is but she's also arguing from a Christian perspective. So this is why it goes back to this very archaic kind of role division. And I do think that what's problematic here is that she just sells this as a lifestyle to be
Mm.
achieved by women. And if
Yeah.
you're not following this lifestyle, you're doing something wrong. And the concept of around marriage being having a hierarchy where the husband is more important and his views, he has to be right, he has to be provided for because he's providing the money and the
Yeah.
resources, and you're kind of creating the stability for him. This is a romantic view of a perfect relationship in her mind.
Yeah.
But if, like, for example, women in unhappy marriages look at this, or women who are in an abusive relationship watch this, that is not a good approach for them to say, well, you have married him, you have chosen this man, so now suck it up,
Mm.
and you have to kind of play your part in this marriage, which is to whatever he does, whatever he says, submit to it. And I think that is a very dangerous thing to sell to young girls or women out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it also, it kind of domesticates women back to this lifestyle and is like, leaning back on this nostalgia of like what it meant to be a traditional wife and what it meant to, live on a farm and just take care of the children and be motherly and be womanly and feminine. I mean, this is what I find a little bit, like scary as well as a little bit problematic as well. I mean, of course, people are free to make their own choices, but we are in 2025. Like, we are not in that era. And, this romanticization of the past, this is not just coming out of nowhere. It's the same narrative that right-wing populist parties push, that women should be traditional housewives, or the women should be traditional and, conservative and modest and domesticated. This is the scary part, and this is the part where I feel like imagine a woman who's living in a big city, working 2 jobs, barely being able to provide for her family, not even being able to spend time with her children. She sees this content and she regrets or resents her lifestyle. She resents seeing that I barely spend any time with my children, so maybe I also want this lifestyle. Maybe it is indeed true that fulfillment is found in, being able to take care of your children, being able to do whatever you want throughout the rest of the day. Only then can you be a good mother and a good wife. But I think we are taking our eyes away from the real problem, which is that women are suffering under the system of capitalism that does not recognize the invisible labor and care work that women do. And this is a direct reaction of those, failed promises of neoliberalism, of like, girl boss feminism from the 2010s, that you can have it all. You can have children, you can have a career, you can be a boss, you can break the glass ceiling. And, women are realizing increasingly it does not work like that. It's not easy. It's not possible to have it all. But the solution cannot be that women go back to the idea of what women used to be in the 20s and the 30s. We need better systems that take into account the amount of labor and the amount of structural inequalities that women face on the daily basis in their careers and labor markets. There's already like studies which show that as soon as women take a maternity leave, they are penalized for this break in their careers. Their incomes will never recover to the levels before, or to the levels of a man who started working at the same time within the same position as them. So obviously there is a structural issue that needs to be addressed, and the solution cannot be that we go back to old times.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. It's the freedom of choice that should be there for everyone, kind of to choose the path they want. We still don't have equal pay for women and men in workforce. You're absolutely right. If you as a mother have to take off from work because your child is sick, your company, your boss at some point will say that's a problem. You're not reliable as a workforce. There is such a thing as asking women why they're applying for a job if they plan to have children, which is, for example, in Germany, illegal to ask even. But they do that. So this points all to exactly what you're saying, that there is like a theoretical freedom of choice, which is not put into practice in society. But then also, I believe that there are a lot of misconceptions about becoming a parent in society, which is this notion of having it all, but where does that put the children you've created, right? In this having it all scenario. To kind of give it a bit more realism, this video doesn't show a stressed out mother. You know what I mean? Which most of people at home do not look like this. And they don't put up a camera to show what they're doing. Okay, I'm cutting strawberries once in a while. I'm cooking at home. But there is a certain kind of hypocrisy with what she's doing there, because if you are so fulfilled, why do you need an audience to watch you perform the perfect motherhood? Why? Why are you monetizing your perfect female fantasy submitting to your husband? So this is something that people should ask when they watch this content, is that this person obviously is not very truthful about this is what you should do. This is how you should spend your life. And this is the kind of woman you should be. But then you should do that privately, right? So this is the first red flag for me here watching this content. And then also yes, to be true, I find it obvious that you have to prioritize, kind of that you have to make a decision when it comes to how you want to parent, what kind of mother, and also for that, for what it's worth, what kind of father you want to be. Both parents have to sit down and be like, do I want to have time with my children? Am I fine with giving my children early to daycare? How is the family relation? Because we don't live in communal
Exactly.
scenarios anymore where the grandparents are living above and the family, so society is not really knowing, as a mother, is not really nurturing having children. If people come up to me and say,
Absolutely.
I do not want to have children, and they say it to me in this kind of way where they think I'd be offended
Mm,
as a person having children, I'm like, I get it. You
yeah.
don't have to, you're not offending me by telling me you
Mhm,
don't want to have children. I never planned for my life to be like this. I wasn't like the girl being like, I want to marry and have 3
mhm.
children. It just happened. And then I made sense out of it
Yeah.
along the way. And
Right.
for me, I said, I choose to be a present mother.
Mhm.
I move out of the city. I'm reducing my cost of living.
Yeah.
And for the time of being until my children hit a certain age, I'm prioritizing home.
Yeah.
And but then I'm not afraid to go out again in the world and to approach whatever career I might. And many women also, like I do, they work on the side a little bit. But yes, the economical system doesn't
Exactly.
make it easy for women to earn additional money because it
Yeah.
get taxed, and then you sit there and you're like, oh, if I go to work 20 hours, I actually do not have a substantial amount of money out of that. I'm just spending my time elsewhere for a little bit of more money. These are
Absolutely.
the problems we have to tackle in society, for
Absolutely.
sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right there because, when you do the economic cost benefit analysis of, should we both be in the workforce and in the end we pay so much more money for childcare services or
Yeah.
whatever, it just doesn't make sense that both parents are in the labor market, and it's an absolutely rational decision to make that one person stays at home and takes care of the children. But it should not have to be this way because
Mm,
the children that are born into this world, they become part of the labor force. the government
mm,
the state must think that the birth rates that are declining, why are they declining? Women have been understanding, and people have been understanding, right, that the system is not built in a way to support childcare, the life changes that you experience as a parent. We cannot see any sustainable solutions and expect parents to do it all, and living conditions get harsher and harsher, economic conditions get worse and worse, inequality keeps on increasing. So, it's a really tough position to be in. But regarding this Tradwife content, I do think that there's an algorithmic push that is amplifying this content.
mm.
You might have seen that Elon Musk is promoting a lot of pronatalism.
Mm.
He's a pronatalist, which means basically that you are pro birth and pro people having a lot of children, and
Says the man who has how many children with how many wives?
exactly.
Girlfriends, I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. He's randomly texting women on Instagram, like if they're influencers or something, and asking them, "Hey, do you want to have my child?" Imagine that. That's your pickup line. What a loser.
I mean, I'm I'm the richest man in the world. Do you want to have my child?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It probably works, but what the hell? It's just like also commodifying women and just seeing women as like
Mm.
child producers. Like, sorry,
Yeah.
but what the hell is going on? So I think there's like a right wing Christian pro-natalist push and ideology in the US, which is fueling this kind of narrative, romanticizing this life, and, making women believe that this is the way, this is the solution to their, exhausted lifestyle under capitalism.
Mm.
It's just like distraction towards the wrong things. It's not the solution that we need.
I mean, look, I think that you can see obviously with, for example, Trump's administration, where the
Yeah.
women work and what roles the men have. Kind of very, his press speaker is a woman that looks like she was picked by the looks. Like, I don't want to judge that person, right? So, but
Mm,
the kind of women that he picks is obviously, very, to put it blunt, it's kind of like, I want to have this woman around me. Like,
Yes.
she represents my administration well, and they are always
Yes.
kind of Christian fundamentalists wearing crosses, blonde,
Yes.
blue eyes. So it's very
Mm.
obvious what standing women have for people like Musk and Trump. So
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
not
Absolutely.
surprised by that.
Mhm.
And then you have also Erica Kirk, for example, which is
Exactly.
this woman.
Exactly. I
Oh
was
my
thinking
God.
of her.
She
Yeah.
creeps me out, to be honest. It's
Yeah.
the way she talks, it's so not genuine. It doesn't, I don't, maybe people see that and they're like, she's so emotional. I don't see emotions. I don't see any of that. That doesn't come across to me.
It's the Botox. You can't see the emotions. It's a lot of
No,
Botox in there.
but she's young, right? So I don't know, but
I think she has definitely had some procedures, but you're
it
right.
might
Like
be.
it's,
Yeah.
but on that point, I wanted to also mention this controversy with Sydney Sweeney, right? Like the American Eagle jeans ad that she did. And I
Mm.
recently saw a clip on social media where a journalist or a person who's interviewing her basically asks her and gives her the chance that, yeah, there was a lot of controversy regarding the advertisement that you did. Do you have anything to say? And she's like, I just did a jeans ad, with her eyes. And, like she's also fitting exactly in this like Christian, not Christian, but actually like this white woman, blue eyes, blonde hair, and big boobs. And then the journalist like goes a little bit further, but in a very soft way, questioning her that well, actually, like, a lot of the backlash was about that white people should not be making jokes about genetic superiority. And she just didn't say anything. She was just like, if I had something to say, I would say it, which is like a crazy answer to, what do you think? She didn't give anything back. And, then Trump had also tweeted something about the advertisement when she made this. Like, so it's like a very clear, like connection for me that, they're promoting this genetic superiority and this pro-natalist white family view that, yeah, we need to have more children because they're realizing that we are running out of our population. White people make up what? I don't know how much percentage of the world, but like a very, very tiny percentage. I think it was like 7% or something. And they want to bring this back through this Tradwife content, through, like marketing, but also like, through celebrities who can be looked upon. And, when you look at the comments under Sydney Sweeney's post and whatever, like right wing men from pro Trump circles, they're mostly
Mm.
commenting on the post saying, this is what women used to look like in the past. Thank God these women are back, like women with like big boobs and, like very curvy bodies and not skinny or I don't know, like not the body positivity because they're against that as well. So yeah, I feel like it's kind of a return and it all is connected in a way or another.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, they're exploiting the fundamentalist branch of Christianity.
Yeah.
That's the one thing, and the other is you don't have to look far. Just look at the propaganda of Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
Also, at the beginning of it all, like when Hitler came to power, and the kind of content and the way they like it's almost exactly the same promotion that they did for the German family, how the German housewife should behave, and you always have to put it in a larger context, right? So it could be also an indication for something else, for example, which is not just restructuring society in a way, in a picture they imagine, but if you look at Nazi Germany, it was also kind of a preparation for war coming because you need somebody at home to stay at home with the kids, right?
Yes.
So kind, and then women were also during the war, they were working in the factories building weapons, for example, so at least there, if you follow the historic propaganda, it led up to many different things. One was kind of this
Yeah.
homogenous society, but the other was kind of like to put everyone in their place for a different agenda as well. So we
Yeah.
should always kind of look at the bigger picture with these fascist people.
I mean,
I'm sorry. It is pretty much fascism what Trump is doing. I
Yeah.
cannot name it differently.
Indeed. I think like within the AfD as well, there were sometimes like these pushes for what is a good woman and what is a bad woman. You remember this post where they were
Mm.
bringing back this idea of the traditional Christian woman that's a good German woman and not the one with tattoos and short, colorful hair or something. So exactly the same thing at play. And to be honest, I would call it white supremacy, like this white
Yeah.
supremacist idea that we need to conserve our ethnic superiority, the perceived ethnic superiority, of course. And the way to do it in a society with declining birth rates is to have more children, stay at home, deal with capitalism in your own way, but like deal with it and keep producing children.
Yeah.
And I would now like to actually move on to the stay-at-home girlfriend video. This is a second category of the femcell. And these are women who are not traditional Christian conservative. They are liberal women. And they are also deciding to stay at home. So we will talk about it. But yeah, I will play the video now.
So welcome to another episode of A Day in My Life as a 25-year-old stay-at-home girlfriend. First, I wash off all of the regrets and ickiness away from last year. Then I play with makeup from the $10,000 Sephora haul that my boyfriend got me because I'm obsessed with makeup and have nothing better to do. And this time the puppy was around, so I made sure to take her to her favorite park. But first, let's do a skin check. Yep, glowy as always. After tiring her out from her run, we come home and we prepare for lunch and cuddle as I am reminded of the only reason I like living this lifestyle. While we do this, our personal chef delivers me a gourmet meal because real stay-at-home girlfriends don't cook. We ended the day with a visit to his friend's clothing line launch in collaboration with Roots. Unfortunately, I quit, so this will be our last video.
This is so, I mean, it's crazy. And again, I want to point out to each person, whatever makes them happy, right? If this kind of relationship works out for people, great. But let's point out what influencers are for a second here, which is, how did I call it? Like, the commercial break of social media, where you're having kind of substantial content and news, and then you hit new influencers which sell you stuff, and they're making commercials for product placement. So
absolutely.
So I think that people, and especially young people, should really, really try to perceive this from the perspective of what it is. It's a fake life. It's a fake lifestyle.
Yeah.
Some might be real, but many of them aren't. There are many tricks which people use to maintain kind of this image where they book a holiday for one day and then they make just 20 videos at that one day with 20 outfits acting like they were on holiday for 20 days.
Yeah.
Or they are, I don't know, setting up cameras everywhere and, being like, okay, I woke up and now I go back to bed. And like, oh, that's how my day started, like at 5 a.m. Who knows if it was 5 a.m.? You know what I mean? It's kind of... Exactly. It could be whatever. It could have been 5 days ago. So a lot of that is just a fake lifestyle.
Yes.
Meant to be targeting a niche group of people. They're very systematic about that. Like this neoliberal quest of find the problem, find the solution, place your product. This is what they're doing.
Yes. Or create the problem and then
create the problem. Invent the problem.
Yes. Because I mean, in a way, she is inventing a problem for women who are not getting $10,000 worth of makeup from their boyfriends, right?
That is a huge problem for many women. I will have a serious talk tonight at home.
Exactly. You better get your game up, Yeah. And I think the way that she also discussed, was just talking about, putting on my makeup because I have nothing better. It's just like, okay, wow, girl, you're 25. You have zero ambition. Like you just stay at home and, do makeup and go for walks and matcha lattes and live your life. Just vibes. Their Femmosphere is all about looking for men who can provide financially for you. So you can live a soft life led by care, self-care, and, you are in your peak soft girl era. It's like promoting this kind of an ideology that women deserve rest. And, the only way to get rest is to stay at home, take care of yourself, and let your men work because men are better at doing jobs, apparently. Anyway, so I think these are the kind of women who are going for like finance bros, tech bros, and
In both videos, the men do not exist, by the way, because they're not there, right?
very little screen time for the financial sponsor of this video.
I mean, if you do generally hate men,
yeah,
having a lifestyle where he's hypothetically in your life but never at home, I mean, there it touches some sort of logic from that
yes,
point of view, right? Where like, I'm living in his house, I'm eating his food, I'm spending his money,
yeah.
but
I
he's
mean,
on business trips all the time.
exactly. And to be honest, like, yes, they're selling this lifestyle, and I do believe that a lot of Gen Z, it's shaping their opinions. It is shaping
Mm.
their personalities. It is indeed influencing them, because within my own friends group, there's a clear division between Gen Z friends and millennial friends on these topics. The Gen Z girls, they are more open towards like accepting things from men and, letting a man take care of you because you deserve it. Whereas the millennials are like, no fucking way, I can take care of myself. Like, the girl boss, like, I can do it all. And yeah, I think this kind of ideology of the Femmosphere, depending on a man, this is not solving the real issues that women face out in the world. In fact, it creates a bigger dependency, financial dependency on a man, and is the gateway to a toxic relationship, to getting abused, to being forced to do things or live a life that you actually never wanted to do, just based on the promise of financial security. So it is not really improving the material conditions of women. It's just like a performative, lavish lifestyle that can break apart at any moment. And imagine that, okay, this girl, let's say she gets married, she's happily living with her boyfriend, continues the stay-at-home thing for a few years. I mean, you can earn some money from like, commercials and being an influencer, but it's not so much money. And once you're old, your boyfriend or your husband by then divorces you, you have no skills because you never entered the labor market. You have no networks because basically you never were in the labor market or doing things which you could sustain yourself from. So you are going to be in poverty, and you are going to be worse off, like in 20 years, 30 years, if your man decides to fuck your life up,
Yeah.
How can you rationally and logically place so much power over yourself in the hands of one man?
Yeah. Look, I think the difference, also the generational difference here, like as a millennial, I can see that also pop culture wise, we were brought up with a different mindset or prepared for a different life that never was fulfilled.
Yeah.
When I was as a teenager or even before, rom-coms were very big.
Yeah.
Disney movies, romanticizing love. There was kind of like still this feeling of even feminism felt still that it was improving step by step. It didn't feel like we hit the wall where we now realize I don't think equality of pay will come in my lifetime right now. I don't, I
Yeah.
mean, yes, we're fighting for it, but it doesn't feel like we came any closer the last 15 years. But
Yeah.
at that age, I still believed in those things. I still
Yeah.
believed in a lot of more development in society. I believed that the European Union will become more relevant in our lives and more towards kind of like a unifying force. Never happened. It looks like it won't exist in 10 years anymore. So we had a lot of hope from childhood, and like every year, passing on planet Earth, you realize more and more, oh, that's not happening. But I believe that we still are kind of grounded in some philosophies, which, for example, romantic love, which still give us this perspective of no, love is not a kind of a business partnership. That's kind of how I see these women approach a relationship. This has nothing to do with love. It has nothing to do with romance. It is just based on all men are bad, and the only way I can have a relationship with a man is based on a business model, which he provides for me and I'm there
Yeah.
and I give him the thing, as the first female said. So I think that there is a difference, that we have a slightly different childhood and a
Yeah.
slightly different era.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, but I think it's something that won't go away from my perspective. It looks like we will face a very hopeless kind of a very resources centered with logic, right? Because if resources are the biggest problem in our lives and cost of living crisis, I'm not surprised that a generation of people will focus on that. Like, that's my biggest struggle. Like, I have to find resources for my life.
Yes.
And then everything falls into that category. And then love doesn't matter if survival is the most important thing. As does the decision to have children not matter. Like, no, I'm not having children. I can barely care for myself. How am I supposed to take care of a child, right? So all of these decisions of not just Gen Z, but also the next generations will go in that direction if the system and how the world functions stays the same.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, it's making people obviously, so self-centered. So, for example, if these women like who want to stay at home, right? Like, what if they actually find a really nice guy, but he's maybe middle class, cannot afford that lifestyle that they want to have? So they will just not choose these men. They will just go for, a mediocre man, but somebody who can provide them this financial security and this, this lavish lifestyle where they can stay at home. And it's so superficial if you think about it, that, is this what
Yes.
matters in life? Is this what you came to Earth for? To be able to be a princess and,
Yes.
not have your free will. So it is indeed very problematic, and it's all about the economics. I think our generation, the Gen Z, we've become very disillusioned with the state of the world. We've seen one crisis after the other since the 2008 financial crash. I mean, this is like the early memory. After that, we have like the Eurozone crisis, the refugee crisis, COVID-19, then Russia, Ukraine, then we have Israel, Gaza, and they've had global significance, and social media has made it so accessible for us to also be aware of these things. These crises have then also impacted economy, like wages, inequality increasing with each crisis, like rich getting richer and richer, poor getting poorer and poorer. Dream of owning a house, over. For my generation, it's over. We can't really imagine of, putting our name onto something in the Western world. So like people are becoming increasingly disillusioned, and they're coming up with different understandings and different, solutions or things that make sense to them. I think I saw somewhere that China is about to implement a policy that people who are influencers, unless they have an educational degree on the subject they're talking about, they will not be allowed to be influencers anymore. And I think this is something that we need in the EU as well. All right, should we move on to our last Femcell video? Yeah, so now we will be introducing you my personal favorite one, which is a dating strategist. And there's many dating strategists out there which are teaching women how they should be dating and what they should be expecting from men. And the reason I say they are my favorite is because they have somewhat of an understanding of feminism. Like, they're so close to becoming socialists, but in the end, they take a completely different tangent, and they're like, the solution is to rip off men. So yeah, enjoy the video.
What turns me on is when a man sends me money. I feel the moisture between my legs. I'm like, oh my God, you actually sent it? I do believe as a woman you can be feminist and also ask men for things, because a lot of my politic and praxis revolves around the idea that men need to open their wallets and give us their money. I can't imagine laying with a man and he's not making my life any better. What I find so amusing is we encourage women to lean in and go for the highest paying salary we can negotiate for the job that we are applying for. But then when it comes to the men we date, we're not encouraged to go for the highest earning man, to go for the man who's got the most success. We speak about women within feminism like they're this hypothetical group of people. We are the women we're talking about. So when it comes to craving men romantically, all I romantically crave is properties in my name. I'm not even being sarcastic. That's as romantic as it's going to get for me. Properties in my name, land in my name, assets in my name.
These are the dating strategists, right? Like, these are... Her podcast is quite interesting, and if the viewers are interested in like finding out more, it's called The Slum Flower. And yeah, just for out of curiosity, if you ever feel like watching, this group of dating strategists is based around like low effort men and who do not put the right effort into relationships or into dating. And that's why these women hate men as a group, not as individuals. And their plan at getting back at men is to rip them off, basically.
I mean, let's go into the reality of why all these women, or particularly the one we watched now, developed this strategy, because there is some truth to that as well, right?
Yeah.
So I think I don't know a woman who hasn't had horrible experiences with men in one way
Yeah.
or another,
Yeah.
like in relationships, in dating, in many other life situations, at work. I can name a bunch, but I think I think it's understood what I mean. So all these experiences lead you to believe at some point that you get exhausted, kind of,
Yeah.
from certain things that never seem to change.
Yeah.
But I think it's always dangerous to generalize and to be like all men.
Mm-hmm.
From my perspective, is it's I have 2 sons, right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying very hard so that I'm not creating 2 Andrew Tates here at home. You know what I mean? Kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there should be a collective responsibility towards all people, not just men, but men and women, that, we have a responsibility to not create, but to educate and to help people develop in a healthy way. And this is what I mean. We're not in a very healthy society right now.
Yeah.
Almost everyone has coping mechanisms. Everyone, not almost, everyone has coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
All of us know what they are. We don't have to speak about them, but we do. And this is kind of like something we have to seriously acknowledge about each other, that we're all not fine. Like,
Yeah.
so based on that, I believe that I do get where she's coming from. And I do agree with some things, only slightly different. Like, no, you should not be with a man who's making you miserable.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't say not be with a man who doesn't make your life better, because what does that mean? I don't know what that means. Like, for her, it means financially.
Yeah.
Like, let's say you have a partner that is relying on you financially all the time, is at home playing video games, only ordering pizza every, like, I'm giving now the most horrible picture I can think of, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
For me, I guess. I mean, I love video games too, don't get me wrong, okay? But let's say it's an unreliable partner who never helps around, who is just, you're the main resource for everything, emotional support, everything. Yeah, I don't, yes, don't do that. Like, end this relationship. This is not going to bring you forward. And I do not think that it's even worth the effort to be like, I will change him. Like, maybe you can try and then it won't work, and then you should stop trying, right? So I get where these women come from. So essentially she's saying, I mean, I could go with it like saying, be proud of who you are, have some kind of standard when it comes to relationship, how you want to be treated, what is important to you. That is a very healthy view to have when dating.
This exhaustion that comes from like looking for the partner and, having so many bad experiences one after the other. Yeah, like in the end, you look to these figures who can tell you how to set standards for yourself, that now you get to choose like from these different apps and from these different men. So there must be someone out there who fit the expectations that you are looking for, right? Like the person who can maybe provide for you, person who can emotionally be there for you. And honestly, like men so far, they have not really improved a lot more than the men of, like, I don't know, the men who were on the dating market in 2000s, Like, yes, there is some more emotional maturity, some more sensitivity, like things like casual harassment where people would just grab your genitals at a club just casually, like it was part of like the dating culture and the club culture. This kind of stuff does not happen anymore, lucky for women, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is such a huge topic at the end of the day, but I mean, you have to also look into people's childhoods, like the relationship that men have with their mothers, a relationship that men had with their fathers. So this is a generational created problem of men being desperate for emotional support, but never being that for each other. Like, men speaking to men are rarely going into deep emotions. They're like, oh, this sucks. Yeah, no, dude, sucks for me too. It's a reality. It's not even made up. Like, okay, you can have that. Like, there's an exception to everything. So that no one of the viewers like, hey, I do have a healthy relationship with my buddies. Okay, that's fine. But most of men do not have that. And they were brought up like this. Like at home, it wasn't normal to speak about emotions. Like there is a certain functionality that gets preached to young boys from childhood. Like be a boy, be a man. That's what is that supposed to mean? You know, and then of course, when women start feeling exhausted of being that emotional support, where does that leave men in general? You know, but I do get the tiredness of being emotional support. Basically, also because you have to work hardest for it. Like you recognize that, you know, this person is in deep need for a deep talk, you know, not just to be told things, but to just speak. And you have to be like asking questions and being careful. And, you know, like you're approaching a wild animal, you know, you can scare it any moment. And if you scare it, it shuts down. And it's like, and then you're like, that's exhausting, you know, because there's no kind of education on it's normal to speak about that. Women do that all the time. We sit down, we're like, I feel like this, I feel like that, I think this. Like we don't stop, you know, we analyze together, we unwrap things, we high five each other when we're done with it. You know, that's like a completely different approach to emotions. And I think I get it, but it's also unfair because I feel like a society is giving up. Like everyone's like, no. You know what? It's not my fault. You know, it's his parents. It's, you know, why am I have to take care of this? So we are kind of in a weird place with that. And
Absolutely.
dating apps, I don't think that it would have been for me because I do not vibe with people over text at all. Like I also don't fall in love easily. Like not at all. Like very rare chance, not easily, you know. I really do have to know the other person. Like that's for me a very slow process of getting to know somebody and so on. So some people fall in love very easily, some not. I'm of the latter. So dating apps would have been a nightmare for me. Like nope.
Yeah. I want to go back a little bit to this thing that you were talking about, that men are increasingly feeling, you know, like they don't talk to other men, right? Like, and I think this is the thing. You remember that in the US there was this big narrative that there's a male loneliness crisis. It's also part of the manosphere. That's why they're all together and bonding over, you know, oh, but you left us behind, and, you know, like women hate us and we hate women. We need to find the women who submit to us and are submissive and so on. So this is one ugly form of the male loneliness crisis, because men don't talk to each other about feelings. And, you know, like, of course, I mean, this is maybe even a matter for another topic, like the manosphere, and, you know, what are the reasons that men end up in these communities, and what is the driving force behind, which I think is also economic inequality and economic, you know, like feeling disempowered by the economic system that we are part of, and, you know, feeling like you have no control over your life. So obviously there's similarities, and that's a big ass topic for it in itself. But we are seeing exactly the same mirror image in the Femmosphere. And it's in the end all about resources. It's not about women hating men out of nowhere from one day to the other, or women making men gods from one day to the other. We are just choosing a life of submission, or like self-care and soft life, because they're going for the low-hanging fruit instead of like unionizing and like fighting for socialism and, you know, like fighting for our rights. We're just like, okay, it's too hard. I don't see it happening.
I mean, because I think the unfair thing about living in exactly this time on Earth is that you don't get to, you know, choose creativity and beauty and life and exploring and being curious, all of which are very important human needs.
Yeah.
A human need, like a basic human need, yes, it's food, it's water, and it's kind of like a roof over the head. But apart from that, it's not natural to want to climb a corporate ladder. What is that?
Exactly.
Like it's so abstract. It's climb hierarchy or any of that. Like, okay, Jordan Peterson would now argue that there are animals which couldn't be further from humans have these kind of social social behaviors, but no, what if you look also at arts like from centuries ago, what people really love to go into is philosophy, is exploring life, is of course
Yes.
traveling, seeing great places. And we don't
Yeah.
have time for this. We don't have time
And money.
to do what I believe is safe to say something that we are meant to do, is to explore life in its positive ways and not just as struggle and running out
Yeah.
of time every day and being exhausted and being in fight flight mode all every single minute. And so this is the consequence of missing out on so many things that are so deeply human.
Absolutely. And I think imagine you are somebody who works in a corporate office and you leave the house at 7 a.m., you come back at 7 p.m., how much time do you have left for yourself to be able
And
to
what
live a
did you
meaningful life?
do in that time? You wrote texts, you wrote emails, you sat in meetings, you didn't do anything. You didn't
Yes.
create anything.
Yes.
You have also kind of what I learned, the term of bullshit jobs, where
Yes.
your work is not meaningful to anything. You're just a
Yes.
tiny piece in some machine. You never see what happens with your work. You don't see it as part of something bigger. You're just doing, and that
Yes.
is so unfulfilling and in itself. And so we
Yes.
don't have to wonder that society starts hating each other. So the hate between male and female, like in
Yeah.
this particular examples, is kind of the most the most horrible division we could see in humanity.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And then not to forget that you have this whole topic of other forms of genders or other forms of lifestyle don't even fit anymore into this,
Yeah.
because everyone is blaming everyone for everything at some point because
Yeah.
none of it works.
And I mean, imagine these women who, because this Femmosphere is emerging in Western areas and regions where women have been liberated to a certain extent by feminism, through feminism. And the trend is now moving backwards to, re-domesticate them. So the thing is, for these women, it means that the majority of the world is not even considered as a candidate that you could ever fall in love with. Because if you are somebody living in Europe, you will, China, 1 billion people, India, 1 billion people, but still, you will not be able to maybe find the financial security that you're looking from. Of course, there's billionaires in India and China as well, right? But how few are these people, and the majority of the numbers of people in the rest of the world, you just don't consider those men as eligible and worthy of love. And you just see them as commodities that you can appropriate to live a better lifestyle. It is so sad. It is so sad that we've come to this point in society where women and men both are becoming more divided and are seeing the other gender as just a means to an end.
But I think we do have to really underline that this is like a Western cultural thing, because
Yeah.
I think that in other cultures worldwide we have a still way more healthier approach to I mean, in a sense of, I don't know, I cannot see a concept like
Yeah.
incels and femcells being very big in the Balkans right now, which
Yes.
probably does exist, right?
Yeah.
But, and I'm not saying that there are no issues. There are issues. I've basically never dated within my own culture because of the very bad male examples in my family. People I loved, but people I was like, I couldn't be around as a wife of such a person.
Yes.
So I'm not saying I have no critique, right? So I'm just saying that there is they settled for this is how it is, which is
Yeah.
also not great.
Yeah. No, the reason I stopped you earlier is because, I mean, there's these femcells and manospheres, they're maybe not existing because the economic development and the development of feminism in other societies has not fallen or has not followed the Western trajectory of development. So, but at the same time, this kind of behavior, it's I wouldn't say this is gold digger behavior per se, but
it pretty much is.
No, I meant the other cultures.
You mean in other cultures?
Yeah. The Femmosphere is very gold digger behavior, but in the other cultures. So, for example, like in African societies, Southeast Asian societies, South Asian societies, material wealth plays a big role when parents are deciding over the marriage of their children.
Oh yeah.
The parents become the gold diggers. But the reason is and this is also again because of resources, because life is so hard. Like people live in really oppressive economic systems, and obviously they want the best for their child, right? Like I would also not want my child maybe to marry someone who's just playing video games and sitting around. I would want them to have like somebody who's equally ambitious and is living their life to the fullest and is like happy in their life, and keep my child also happy. Like I would not think about like the financial situation too much, I think.
Yeah.
But, I understand where they're coming from. But like in Southeast Asia and China, for example, there was a big crisis of like men not being able to find women because women were way more educated. Their expectations of the educated women were like, no, I want a man who earns this salary, who can provide me this lifestyle. So it's also very much materially motivated in how people decide over their partners. But again, like in South Asia, for example, where parents make these decisions, the children kind of rebel against the parents and marry out of love. It happens. It's not just that children are also following the same logic or something. So children act very irrationally, and sometimes, the families break apart and never talk to each other. But it's again, like I have to mention that in these societies, like feminism never developed to this extent that every woman could just choose to do what they wanted, right? Like being a stay-at-home mom is the default lifestyle in Pakistan, for example. So we can't use the same like framework for analysis for these societies. This is somehow still only applicable also to Western societies where we're going back in time.
Yeah, I must think of that meme where you see kind of that evolution where the creature comes out of the water and is going like back, like fuck that. So yeah, look, I think with countries in general, with everything outside of the West, I think it's so difficult to see how things would have been without European or Western intervention in most of these countries. So I think there's always kind of a broken part of history for countries, also like India and Pakistan, where you have kind of this influence that brought nothing substantially like good to that area. I mean, Europeans are like, oh, we brought infrastructure, and did you though? like let's be honest for a minute here. So there is a huge disruption. Africa is a great example of Western disruption of societies where
of culture, society, relationships. They could just not develop in the organic way. Yeah, you're right.
And maybe it wouldn't have even developed in the direction that we developed, but something quite more, quite different and quite more soothing to a human being.
Yes. Yes.
So we will never know that in our lifetimes, because from where everyone is now, they are stuck. We are all stuck all together now in a kind of survival mode, surviving ourselves as humans. That's the most insane thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's not even aliens doing that to us. It's just ourselves.
Yeah.
It's really mind-blowing.
Yeah. Well, I hope that we were able to inform our audiences about the dangers of the Femmosphere and how to stay critical online. And always take, these content creators and influencers, because they are purely driven by algorithms, to take them with a little bit of grain of salt and, see this in a critical way that, yes, as a woman, I have been at a disadvantage, but my solution is not to rip off another person. Like, I think feminism should come out of solidarity and care, not just for yourself, but also those people that are around you. And this is the feminism, at least, that I believe in. And I know that, Julijana, you believe in. And
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think like the only way we can actually make our society better and have like any sort of hope and a vision for a better society is based in, it has to be based in care, and it has to be based in, it has to be rooted in solidarity. It cannot be, me like, pushing others back to get ahead and yeah, just, like hurting other people and trying to get ahead in this rat race of capitalism.
Yeah, absolutely. I can only agree with that. Yeah, I wish people, that people like this new concept of one topic approach. And if you have ideas for topics, please write them in the comments. And yeah, maybe you want us to also pick up manosphere at some point. So even if you want that, please give us feedback. And yeah, thanks, Kins. I enjoyed this very, very much. A very
Me
interesting thing
too.
to
Thank you
explore.
too. Yeah.
And yeah, see everyone next time.
See you next time. Bye.